Hey, friends. This is Martine Williams, and I am obsessed with all things mompreneur life and helping you to remix your priorities, your habits, your mindsets, and yes, even your relationships so that you can build a successful business without losing yourself in the process. I'm also obsessed with the color turquoise and lyrics of the 80s and 90s, but that's beside the point. Girlfriend, you don't have to hustle 24/7, 365 and continue to sacrifice your health, your relationships, and your sanity to be a successful mompreneur. As a small town girl living in a lonely world to a six-figure mompreneur, I am here to teach you how. There is a better way, and this podcast is your one-stop shop for all of the how-tos, the encouragement, the life hacks, the success tips, and of course, a little side of tough love. This is the Mompreneur Life Remixed podcast. So let's do this. Happy Thursday, friends. Today we have another Turquoise Talk guest. Daniela Procopio is the founder of SOLMA Tea. It's the first ready-to-drink lactation tea supplement designed specifically to make increasing milk production easier and more convenient for breastfeeding mothers. No, we're not talking the whole episode about breastfeeding and lactation, all of that. It's really her experience as a mompreneur, but also about this amazing product. Inspired by her personal experiences and challenges while nursing her first child, Daniela recognized the need for a practical solution that would make increasing milk production easier and more convenient. Guided by the expertise of a certified lactation consultant, SOLMA Tea strives to provide breastfeeding mothers with an all-in-one solution, empowering them to effortlessly boost milk supply and fulfill hydration needs when they need it most. So really excited about this conversation. It's just, again, so many amazing people out there, mompreneurs out there who have gone through something and are now, reaching back and bringing and lifting other moms up that maybe struggle with some of the same things. So I know you'll be encouraged by this. Maybe there's something that you have gone through and you're trying to figure out how to make it a business, or maybe it's just going to be a passion project for you. Not every hobby or things we're passionate about need to be monetized and turned into a business and create a product like SOLMA Tea. But I think we just can really get inspired by hearing these stories. And so I'm really excited to introduce Daniela to you. So let's do this, friends. Welcome back, friends, to the Mompreneur Life Remixed podcast. I'm your host, Martine Williams, and I'm so excited today for our Turquoise Talk guest. It's just really amazing to me how many amazing women are out there just doing things, just doing these big things to impact other moms and help moms who, may have gone through some of the same situation, whether it be from a business standpoint or a life standpoint. I'm all about Mompreneur Life, which involves all things, business and your life. So thank you so much for coming on the show today, Daniela, to talk to us about this amazing product that you have. And I just can't wait to get to know you and your story. So thank you for taking the time to come on the show.
Thank you so much for having me, Martine. I'm excited to be able to share a little bit more about the journey that got me here and about SOLMA, our product.
Yes. So tell us a little bit about you, your background, why or how you became a mompreneur.
Yeah, absolutely. So I am a married mom of three. I have three kids, 4 and under. So it is chaotic. It is wild, but it is fun. So I have a full-time job. I work for the DoD, but I also co-own 2 different businesses with my husband, a Stove Oven Grill, which we develop recipes and also have some spices and rubs that we sell through e-commerce and farmers markets. And then our newest venture, which is SOLMA. And SOLMA is the first ready-to-drink lactation support beverage. And so excited to be here because this beverage, the one that we launched, it's been years in the making. And really it's born out of my experience as a mom that was embarking on a breastfeeding journey. So, and I'll share a little bit more about the product and if you'd like to know more about that.
Yes. Before we get into that, I'd love to just kind of know, you said it was years in the making, and I know there's a mompreneur who's listening today, and maybe she's in those beginning stages of building a business, or maybe she just has this dream, right, for this either a physical product or a digital product that she wants to put out there. And what I have found is a lot of times it comes from something you figured out, right, that you went through, and now you have a solution to help other people get through that. And I think that's our purpose, right? past struggles become our present purposes to help other people. So can you share just a little bit about what that was like to like take this dream or this passion that you have and actually turn it into a business?
Yeah, absolutely. And you said it perfectly. So that's exactly what it was. I was a first-time mom, and everybody talks about, getting pregnant and then pregnancy and labor and delivery. And then for me, at least in my circles, nobody was really talking about the postpartum journey. And it hit me like a ton of bricks, after having my firstborn, and she was here and everything was wonderful. Except when I was starting to embark on the breastfeeding journey, I had never heard anybody talk about how hard it can be.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until I was in it and I started talking to other people, and they're like, oh yeah, it's definitely really challenging. I personally had supply issues. I had latch issues. I had a number of different challenges. And I honestly had never heard anybody talk about that. You talk about, everything can be challenging up until that point, and then you have a sweet baby in your arms. And that's true.
Right.
However, the fourth trimester really begins. And so what I found was that I literally, I had, like I said, supply issues. I was trying to breastfeed, learning that it was really hard. For me, at least in the beginning, breastfeeding was really painful. And I found that, I wasn't producing enough. And so I looked to various products in the market in order to help me ramp up my supply. And a lot of the products did help. However, what I noticed was that there was a need. There was a lack in the market. And so we filled that void because what we created was a ready to drink beverage for the mom on the go. So It was hard enough, as a first time mom trying to figure out, I'm trying to feed this baby, but I also have to steep some tea, but I also have to blend this up, but I also have to eat these cookies. What we wanted to create was a product that a mom can literally just grab and go. Whether it's you're on your way to a play date, you're on the way to a meeting, you're on your way to do any of the other million things that is on our plate. We wanted something to be easy so that the mom, a mom could get those galactagon ingredients, those milk producing ingredients, but also be able to continue on their go lifestyle if that's what they need. And what we also found was all those teas that I would steep, love those teas in the winter. But when it is 100 degrees outside, or when you have another toddler running around, the last thing you need is something that is piping hot. You want something that is cool, that refreshes you, that you can just take out of the fridge and enjoy that way. So because of all those different reasons, we looked for a product that met all those criteria, that had those galactagon ingredients, could also hydrate, could refresh you, and do all of that. And when we couldn't find it, we made it. So as you said, years in the making. From the point that we had the idea to the whole development process was a few year-long process.
Yeah. And I'm sure there were some bumps in the road. And I think there's always a mess before the success. And one of the things I like to ask as I'm bringing on other mompreneurs is, there's someone who's listening right now who is in that comparison maybe trap of, oh, I see this woman, she's very successful. She's, took this dream of hers and now she's made it this, successful business. But what are some of the messes that you had just from a relatability standpoint for those that are listening and maybe either have a business that's been going really well and they're in a rough patch, or they're kind of going through that messy season in their business? Like, what were some of your messes before the success?
Yeah, that's a good question. I feel like there's always messes, but they never make it to the spotlight, right? You only ever see the big successes on the screen. Yeah, I think one of the first one that comes to mind was when we first had this idea. We worked with a beverage developer, and we gave them, this is what we want all the ingredients to be. These are the galactagon dosages that we would like to see. This is what the taste profile we want to see. Please go, create this. And then they went and they did it. And the first sample that we got back was not anything that was actually consumable, like edible. And I remember feeling so discouraged at that point because, I don't have a background in beverage development. So I was like, what am I doing? And then you have this like little voice in the back of your mind, like the imposter syndrome. You're like, what am I doing? Right? You're like, I had this idea and I believe in it, but what am I doing? And then it's so discouraging sometimes. So that's the biggest one. But obviously that's where you call in the experts. This is why we're working with a beverage developer versus just trying to concoct this in our kitchen, because they're able to take your idea and then get it to where you need it to be. So that's definitely like a mess that initially I was like, oh gosh, like, am I on the right path? And it can be discouraging, especially, you're balancing so many different things. So to have that is definitely a mess, but we're able to overcome it. Let me see, like other messes, it's just, there's messes every single day that you're just, that they don't make the big screen, right? Because you're able to, especially where I am at this point, it's very much, all right, this happened. Let's figure out a way to resolve it and move on as best we can, because we have a goal in mind. And of course, there's going to be little hiccups on the way, but that's why it's important to make sure to keep your eye on the goal, because that's what's going to help you accelerate you and help propel you forward, because little messes here and there in the grand scheme of things, not a big deal, but on the day-to-day life, it can be incredibly discouraging. So, Well,
and just to expect them, right?
Expect them. Absolutely.
Yeah. Expect the messes, expect the pitfalls. And it's just how you choose to respond to those is whether you reach your goal or not, because they're going to happen. They're going to be messes and they're going to be hiccups in your business. You just have to learn to respond appropriately so it doesn't just take you down.
100%. And something that I heard that was really encouraging to me was when you have hiccups like that, it means you're doing something, everything's always smooth sailing. Are you really doing anything? You hear business people, they always have little hiccups. It's because they're constantly trying to move forward and grow and do all these different things. So now it's not always perfect, but sort of the mind shift that I try to do is, okay, that didn't work, or this is a little upsetting, but you know what? It's because we're trying to grow, or we're trying to move forward. And so that sort of motivates me on the days where it can be really discouraging. Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, and two things I heard that I want to make sure the listener heard. Number one is that you got help and you asked for support to help you went to the experts, right? And I think sometimes, a lot of times as mompreneurs or solopreneurs starting out, it's like, can I afford to invest in a coach, or can I afford to invest in a VA or someone who has an expertise in this area to come in? And it just helps you to get those results faster. It just does. And you have that support person when you do hit that hiccup, they're like, it's okay. We can just tweak this and move forward. But when you're all in your own space and you're all in your own mindset, it's just really hard for you to do business on your own. And there's so much, even just a podcast is a great platform because it's free mentorship, y'all. I mean, it really is. I mean, there's so many mentors I've had just from listening to podcasts that are free. So if you are kind of on a budget, just seek out those business podcasts, seek out the expertise that you're needing and just get the help. But you have to be willing to accept that. And I love that you were just like, this is not my area of expertise. I'm going to call in the experts. And so that was the first thing that I heard. The second thing was just how you choose to respond to those hiccups and not taking them personal.
Yeah, no, I think you're absolutely right. And I think calling on the experts has been critical to get us to where we are today, just because there's so many different things that we know. There's so many different things that we don't know. Yeah. And so at least while you're starting out, that's another, having somebody in your corner, part of your village to help get you to the next step is very important.
So tell us a little bit about SOLMA. So we know you kind of shared a little bit about what it is and who it's for, but how'd you come up with the name for that? Yeah. And who is your, do you have, what's your big goal for or vision for SOLMA?
Absolutely. So So the name coming up with the name, that was another thing, that know what you know and know what you don't know. So we were at first looking for experts to help us come up with a name for SOLMA, and a lot of different ideas were bounced around. And then we finally got to a name, and then it was getting to the trademark process, and a lot of things were taken. So we were advised, to come up with the name, you should really try putting two different words together or things like that. So my husband was actually the one behind the idea. It was celebrating our middle son, his first birthday. So the theme was Luca's Unoverse. And so it was a solar system theme. So we had a solar system background, and there was a huge sun and the solar system background. Yeah. And so my husband actually walked by it, and he's like, sol, sol in Spanish is sun. Yeah. So the sun, creates life. It, gives warmth. It helps things grow. It's very nurturing. A lot of things like moms, aspects of moms. And so he's like, so let's incorporate that into the name. And then Ma was two different things. So we like to say it's conceived out of Massachusetts, out of Boston. So we're from Boston.
Okay.
So A is the abbreviation. Thank you.
Yeah.
I thought that was really. And then here, actually, my father-in-law used to call his mother Ma, like, hey Ma, things like that. And so it has dual meaning. So Sol for son, and then Ma, Massachusetts, and also mom. And then we just combine those words. And that's how we came up with Solma, because it was just like we were advised to do. Think of things that you like and blend words together, and you'll have more success to come up with the name. So that was the origin of the name Solma and how we came up with it.
That's awesome.
And the second part of your question, I was so
what's your big goal? Yeah. What's your big goal or big vision like for where you want to take this company?
Absolutely. So Solma, to start, we're the first ready to drink lactation support beverage. However, we have long-term goals for not just in the beverage space, but in many different aspects, in the food space, in the clothing space, make it, a postpartum women-focused brand. And so that's very long-term goal. And we're excited about it, even though right now our focus are the beverages, the Galactic beverages. We have visions for the future, a lot of different fun things in the works. And I want to create a brand that can be a village online for women. I'm so big on community. I'm so big on, having a community that you can rely on either in person or also a community you can lean on virtually. And so that's what we want to create. Something that a resource for women everywhere, that they can be connected. And so how we're going to get there, we're still figuring out. That's part of what we're figuring out at this point. But would love to grow Solma as a woman-centered brand that definitely helps women in various areas, stages of their journey, either through pregnancy or through postpartum or even in parenthood. Because what I find is, there's a lot of community and shared experiences. Yeah. In being pregnant, being a mother, being postpartum. I think all of those, a lot of women can relate to the stories that I have and the stories that I've heard. So that's our goal and our vision for the future. Yeah. Yeah. My kids are 18 and 16, or 15. So I'm way past that season, but I still remember how hard that season was, and had it not been for the nurse at the hospital who was like, I'm going to make sure that, he's properly latched and you're feeling confident in this breastfeeding, moving before you leave the hospital. And I just, cause it was hard. It's so hard. And it's so, like you said, it's not something that a lot of people talk about. And it's so needed. And I remember driving to my best friend who just had a baby after I did, and she was really struggling with it too. And I'm like, I just know what I've learned and what I did that helped. And I drove down there and I was like, I don't want you to give up on this, because I know how important it is for your, your daughter. And so I love the work that you're doing with this, and I can see how it would be just such a helpful community. And, again, we take it personal, like, what's wrong with me? Why is this happening to me? Why is this baby not latching on? What am I doing wrong? And so for you to have this product that can give some confidence to that and to help them not give up on what they really want for their baby, I think is just really important. So thank you for being willing to go through the messes to create a product that's really going to help some other moms. No, thank you for those encouraging words. But that's exactly it. Even though you had a baby before your best friend, and even though you didn't know everything, you were sharing your shared experiences, and that was able to encourage her to continue her path. And I think that's it. Yeah. That's it. That's what we're doing here. And that's how Solma started, out of a need. And I'm hoping that every day, the message that we put out there and what we're saying and the purpose behind our product, relays that you're doing the best you can. There's no better mother in the world for this baby than you. And if there's anything we can do in order to make your life easier, meet you where you are, we're going to try to do that. Yeah. Yeah. So I know there's a lot of mompreneurs who are listening who are still working full time, and maybe they have a passion like yours and they're wanting to build this business. So can you share a little bit about what were some of the obstacles that you've had to overcome, either working full time, taking care of kids, and building this business? Absolutely. So I always talk about how I'm an excellent multitasker, and I really did believe it. until we started embarking on this entrepreneurial journey while also working full time. And now I realize, there's 24 hours in the day. And a lot of those hours are filled, but I'm able to appropriately fill them to do what I need to do. So my job, obviously my full-time job, is a priority, but also so are my children. And so I'm able to really task, okay, between these hours, this is the hours that I'm focused on just this. Between these hours are sacred. They're just focused on the children. These other hours I'm able to work with in order to be able to get all the different tasks that I need accomplished for this business, or I'm able to support with the other business. So instead of saying like, oh, I'm a great multitasker, I'm actually really good at utilizing the hours that I have and in order to ensure, that I get everything that I need done. And I think one of the main ways to do that is by being as present as I can, doing what I need to do. Like I said, I used to say like, I'm a great multitasker, and it's great. I think multitasking is great. And I definitely do it in many different areas of life. However, sometimes in order to be able to get what I need to be done is I'm just focused on one thing, and I'm very present, and I'm making sure that I'm doing everything I need to get done in that 1 hour that I have allotted for this one purpose. And I think that's the biggest thing right now, because since I have so many competing priorities, I need to make sure that I'm honoring each priority appropriately. And that's what's worked for me.
Yeah. Well, and the key to being able to do that is to get really clear on what are those priorities, right? Within each part. So like, what's really important right now for my children? What's really important right now in my business? Because there's a lot of things that we can be doing to be busy. But what is really important and what needs to be done today, and where does your, like you said, be where your feet are, is something that, I learned a long time ago. And I love saying that because it's so true. Like, you just need to, wherever your feet are, be there and be present and be all in, and then move on to the next thing, instead of trying to have it's like you're straddling the fence, and you're trying to put some of your time here and some of your time here. Just focus in for that hour and get it done. Then you can be fully present in the other thing, but you have to get really clear on what that is.
You have to be super clear. You do. And to that point, when you try to do so many different things at the same time, some people make it work, power to them. But what I found was that I was touching upon everything, but I wasn't really doing what I needed to be done in any aspect, because I was trying to do too much, and so I definitely made clear these are my priorities. And I try to be really intentional about that. I always talk about how my husband and we have office hours at night, which is really just having the time to get together and really, either it's the next day or the next week or even the next month, sit down and say, this is what I need to get done. You need to pick up, our oldest, or we need to take our youngest to the doctor. We need to do this. Okay, these are definitely things that I need to get done. And these are definitely things that he needs to get done. And if we, organize ourselves in a way, we're able to really be intentional, be where our feet are. Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, friend. So you have been trying to make some shifts this year. Maybe you set some resolutions and you're just feeling stuck. You don't feel like you're making progress, or you're just not sure what to do. And you've heard me say this before, but being stuck is a mindset, not a position. And this is where a coach comes in to support you. Because here's what I know to be true about you, friend. If you could have done it alone, you would have already done it, period. And as a life coach and a certified PDP professional, I specialize in using a research-based personality and performance survey called the ProScan to illuminate how your unique personality and natural strengths, your work and life environments, are influencing real-time performance. So here's what you need to do. Go to the link in the show notes and book your free clarity call to learn more about how I can support you in your goals. I can't wait to illuminate your strengths, cultivate your confidence, and elevate your life. So talk a little bit about that, like the family structure and how your husband is kind of taking on some of the more primary parenting roles, maybe that are, I hate to even say non-traditional, because I feel like the way the family unit even looks today is very different than it was when I was being raised. There's a lot more women that are working and taking care of the home. And so there's a lot of men that are coming in, fathers that are coming in and maybe not working, or they're definitely taking on more of, a more active and engaged father role, which I think is really good. So can you share a little bit about how that's working for your family, for someone who's listening and it's like, yeah, I really need more help. I need my husband to kind of show up and help me a little bit more.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm really lucky that my husband is able to take on what they call like more of the primary duty roles for our house. And he focuses on our two businesses full time. So it's definitely a lot of work on that area. However, he's able to really work the schedule around what needs to get done. And I think that's so important. And that's honestly what I credit a lot of our success to, is that we definitely have one of us is able to have a little bit more flexibility. And like you said, I think it's an excellent, wonderful shift that we've seen throughout the years with more hands-on father figures. And that's definitely what I see, what we have in our relationship. And even though it's not perfect, even though we always like, for example, we write to the school and we're like, oh, well, I'm going to be out of town. Please make sure to, if something happens, call my husband or email my husband or something like that. A lot of the times we've noticed the default, even though we clearly state it, is always me. It's a work in progress. And it's something that hopefully we'll get there where he's seen as the person to also reach out to in case we need it. But yeah, no, it's definitely what I credit a lot of my success to right now, is having somebody who is able to, support your vision, your dream, and able to take on a lot of the different day-to-day tasks that you don't necessarily have time for. Like, he does all the cooking. He, for the most part, does all the laundry. He does most pickups and drop-offs. And because of that, I'm able to devote the rest of the day to the other responsibilities that I have as well.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that someone that's listening who's, wants to be there, do you have like meetings weekly with each other to kind of go through? I know you just mentioned a few minutes ago. Is that something that you do every night? Office hours, are they every night where you discuss these things? Or is it, how does that, from a logistical standpoint, if someone's listening, like how often do y'all meet and kind of talk business? And then how often do you meet and kind of talk about how's it going with the kids and life and all of that?
So that's the thing about the beautiful mess, right? Of, being married and also having businesses, is that there's no like clear cut, sometimes we're in the middle of a kid activity and we're like, oh shoot, did you respond to that email? Or what are we doing with this? And, business seeps in. But for the most part, we try to touch base, like do those office hours a few times a week. There's no like, oh, maybe we should actually, to that point, now that I'm thinking about it, it's not a bad idea. Instead of that schedule, like Mondays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, or whatever it is. But we really take it as we need to. Like, for example, if we know we have a few upcoming for his business, like farmers market. So we know we're going to be really busy Thursday through Saturday. So in order to be able to get everything set up the way that we need and be organized, so we definitely have those office hours leading up to it a few days prior. So there's no clear schedule, but it's really as we see our schedule, if it's getting really filled or there's a lot of different logistical aspects that need pre-planning, we just call office hours. Hey, at dinner, hey, we need office hours tonight. Would love to be able to watch another episode of Modern Family, but not tonight because tonight we need to do office hours. So really, and that's the beauty of being able to, living together and doing this, that we can just call last minute meetings when necessary in order to be able to get us organized and get us ready for the next day.
Is it just you and your husband as far as people you have supporting you on your team? I know you said you had someone helping you with like actual beverage making, but like, do you have a VA or do you have someone who helps you with social media? Can you kind of tell the listeners, like, do you have a team or is it just you and your husband at this point?
Yeah, you know what? It's interesting that you say that because it's definitely my husband and I. So we're like the founders, we're the ones day to day that do it, but we couldn't do this alone. We do have a social media team that helps us with the social media, because before I would think, posting on social media is so much fun and I love scrolling on social media, but it's work. That is why, people build their careers off of it. It is work. And so we definitely have social media team that helps us in both ventures. And we also have, like, in order to get us to where we needed to be for SOLMA, we had a beverage developer. We had a co-packer that was able to co-pack all our, do the production for our beverages and get us where we are. We also have a 3PL where we store everything. And once you place an order at solmatea.com, everything gets, sent to the 3PL and they're the ones that ship the order out. So we do have extensions of us in order to be able to facilitate that for SOLMA. But for the Rub business, everything other than social media is currently in-house.
Yeah.
So it's interesting because I never really thought about it because I've always thought, it's just us doing this, but no, it's not. Like, in order to get to where we are, lots of support. And in order to be able to continue, especially in the social media realm, we have a team that supports us, our venture, our vision, and is helping us grow.
Yeah. So where can people get this SOLMA tea? Like, is it on Amazon? I know it's probably on your website, obviously, but like, could I walk into a store today and get it? Are you there yet? Or is that still in the process?
So that's in the process, long-term goal. So it should have been something else that I mentioned. Long-term goal, we would love to be able to be in other different areas, including, retail locations, Amazon and things like that. But right now we are strictly e-commerce. So solmatea.com. And you can purchase our product from there. And like we said, we ship it out pretty quickly. So long-term, we have other intentions to be in different locations in order to make it more accessible. But for now, it's on our website.
Awesome. And again, I've been so far out of that season for so long. Like, who is the ideal? Like, is this like how long? As long as they're breastfeeding, they should be drinking this tea. And is it just for those who are struggling, or do you feel like it's good for you regardless? This tea is good for you regardless, whether you're low on supply or whether you just want to keep your supply.
Yeah, that's a good point. So definitely the target audience is the postpartum women who are embarking on their breastfeeding journey. We found that most women who have a child will try breastfeeding a few months, from birth up until a few months postpartum. So that is really when we recommend it because it can be discouraging when you have supply issues and latch issues and things of that nature. So we recommend trying SOLMA during the, after you have your baby up until, a few months, up to 6 months postpartum, because that's usually when women will try to initiate breastfeeding.
Yeah.
And what I found, so I'm not a big water drinker usually. However, I don't get thirsty. I just don't like it's
right. Yeah.
My husband's like, I don't understand that because he chugs water.
My husband's the same way. Yes.
Yeah. He's like, you're not thirsty. And I'm like, I'm not.
No,
I'm not depriving myself. I just don't get thirsty. However, when I'm breastfeeding, I had this unquenchable thirst. Every single breastfeeding journey I've been on, I always have this unquenchable thirst. Yeah. And that's why it was really important for me for SOLMA to be in the 16.9 ounces so that you could either sip throughout the day, it quenches your thirst, or you can just drink, if you want in one sitting. But the idea is to hydrate you, quench your thirst as well. So we really recommend it for somebody who's experiencing supply issues, somebody who wants to maintain their supply. Again, the ingredients in them have anecdotally been shown to work for a long, long time. If you look back in history, people have been using milk thistle, fenugreek, turmeric. They've been using that for a long time. So those ingredients anecdotally have been shown to promote milk production. And so we recommend it for a woman who's just starting out and wants to establish a supply, a woman who's maybe their supply went down and wants to re-up it, anybody who's on their postpartum breastfeeding journey, and even afterwards, again, it has a lot of different ingredients that you've heard of before, and it'll help hydrate you as well because you're consuming a lot of liquids that your body needs after having a baby. You are dehydrated. You are, you're
exhausted.
lacking a lot of different exhausted. I mean, the list goes on, right? The list goes on. So I recommend it for anybody on their postpartum journey, particularly those who are embarking on breastfeeding and would like a little bit of support in that area.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. So we'll put all the links in the show notes for everyone who's listening to go and check it out. And I see you're also on Instagram. So if you want to go and follow them on Instagram, we'll put the links to that also in the show notes. What are you most excited about as we wrap up? Like, what are you most excited about right now in your mompreneur journey?
Oh, I'm so excited about everything. Honestly, I have been, this is new to me. Even though we have two businesses, we don't come from a family of entrepreneurs. Yeah. So what we've seen, like the people that we've connected with, the response that we've received literally is what drives me every single day. Like I'm excited to be able to connect with more women on this journey, both in motherhood, just on the entrepreneurial journey, that excites me, making connections, building that community, building that village. And as we continue and as we, start hitting our milestones and being able to plan for the future, I'm excited to see how else we can grow. As I had teased previously, we have grand plans for the brand of SOLMA. So as we start hitting all those different milestones, I'm excited to be able to really be able to see, all right, what's next? What may, in the creativity behind that, there's just so much excitement. I love this journey. It's definitely a lot of work, but it is so exciting. And I'm just so happy to be on it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I can't wait to see where SOLMA goes as a brand and just all the moms and the lives that you're going to be impacting, and confidence you're going to be giving moms through this product and the products that have not even been invented yet. So thank you so much for coming on the show. This was a really fun interview. And again, since I'm way out of this season, but I have sister-in-laws and, I have friends who are, having babies. And so I'll definitely be sharing SOLMA with them so they can go and check it out.
Thank you. I appreciate your support. And I'm so happy. Thank you for having me today. I just love talking about how we got here and our plans for the future and just connecting with other women in the space. So I appreciate your time very much.
Yeah, no, this was great. All right, friends. Well, I'll catch you on the next episode. And again, we'll put all of the links to SOLMA Tea in the show notes for you. So please check it out. Share it with all your friends. Sharing is caring. I truly believe that. And like she was saying, community is so important for moms, especially in this postpartum season. So thank you again, Daniela, for coming on the show. And I will catch you, friends, on the next episode. Well, that's a wrap, friends, for this week's episode of the Mompreneur Life Remixed podcast. Thank you so much for listening and for following the show. It means so much to me. And listen, friend, sharing is caring. So if you loved this episode and thought of some fellow mompreneurs who could benefit, send them the link. Share this episode or take a screenshot and head on over to Instagram and share and tag me at Martine31Williams. We are connected on Instagram, right? It's where you will get all the fun behind the scenes of my life and business as a mompreneur. Until next time, know that I am believing in you always.